I am now sharing stories that I never thought would see the light of day.
Share with us what your upbringing was like.
So a huge part of my upbringing was around this idea of I am broken and I need to be fixed. What am I supposed to do? I feel so overwhelmed. I feel so stuck. And it's like, great. It sounds like you have a lot of clarity that you feel stuck. And that's an amazing clarity to start with.
How has your life changed before you left corporate and now?
I am the happiest and the most creatively expressed that I've ever been.
If you had to choose between happiness and success, which would you choose?
I'm at this place where for me, happiness and success are pretty aligned.
What advice do you have for people who are trying to figure out what to do with their lives?
If you have this yearning, this pull, this voice that is telling you that there is something more, that is your truth. And that is something that deserves following.
Hello, Wayfinders. Welcome back to 101 Ways Out. I'm your host, Vanessa Jupi. And today we're talking to Haley Scruggs. She is now a life and career coach, but she started out in corporate HR as a recruiter and then left an HR function before burnout became too great. In Haley's journey, she's had a lot to overcome in terms of mental health, and she's come such a long way. You're going to learn so much in this interview. She has some great wisdom and tips to drop. She also has some really fantastic notes on mindset. Like, subscribe, and share. And until next week, go rewrite the rules.
So I'm here with Haley, and we're going to jump in right away. So Haley, tell us where you are in your life at this current moment in time.
Yeah, I am currently in my upstairs bedroom in my house in South Austin, Texas. I've newly launched my business, so officially got the LLC, all that stuff in April of this year. And I am thick in the messy middle of building the foundation of everything. So I have 10 years of experience in very fast-paced technical recruiting at a lot of startups. And then, this past year, I've finally made the many years manifesting the decision to officially, go out on my own. And I've launched my coaching business. So I have two different buckets of what I'm doing. So I help driven women in tech who are super successful on paper, super burnt out, exhausted, and just feel like this cannot be it. There's got to be more. So I do coaching with that. And then I'm really excited. This is really aligned with my recruitment background and everything. I help lean HR teams and startups humanely navigate the layoff process. So I am the career coach therapist to handle and partner with newly laid off and exited employees to help them land on their feet and get going on the job search.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for sharing that. Both of those things sound absolutely important and needed. And we were talking about the women in tech and being burnt out. I'm like, yes, I have been there at so many points in my life. So I feel like what you're doing is definitely, it's like such a good service that needs to be out there in the world.
Thank you.
I want to go back to your childhood. I want to start in the beginning, in the early days of Haley's life. Share with us what your upbringing was like.
Well, I'll start with my origin story, because like all origin stories, it's had a huge impact on who I am today. And it's also been a sort of story of lore within my family and from my mom. So I was born right at 28 weeks. So a few months early. I was supposed to be born in April, but born end of January. So I've always been early, ready to shoot and fly out. And it was a really traumatic birth. They tried to prevent it, didn't work. I hit my mom's pubic bone on the way out. I had this massive bruise. The pieces we put together later is, for the first 30 years of my life, I basically had a never-ending kind of nonstop migraine. So since I can remember, I've woke up with a headache, with a migraine. And I kind of thought everyone went through that experience. I know it wasn't until I was 6 or 7, I just started being able to vocalize like what was happening in my body. And so a huge part of my upbringing was around two things. I guess one, this idea of I am broken and I need to be fixed and I need to go to all these different specialists and doctors. And I've been to like 10 different chiropractors and headache wellness center. And I remember learning about Reiki at a really young age. And so just being really focused and committed to my healing journey. But I think for a long time, really all that did was kind of solidify, like, you are broken.
Yeah.
Doctors don't know how to help you. And like your way of existing is to be in pain and to muscle and hustle through it anyway. And I had an amazing upbringing as well. Of course, there's always like the difficult things, but yeah, born and raised in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I had married parents. They're still married to this day. We had a whole house of ADHD. So it was very
Oh man.
messy, creative, eccentric, very much creativity was encouraged. So I was always like, I was in an a cappella group in high school. That was my favorite thing that I ever did. A lot of performing and a lot of getting to express myself creatively. When I think about my childhood in a body, I just feel like chains were very tightly around my head. Energetically, it just felt very tight, very small. And so I took to writing. I started songwriting when I was 7 or 8. And so spent a
Wow.
lot of time channeling. I think my parents would be pretty surprised to see how dark and suicidal thoughts and self-harm and binging and purging at a pretty young age, just trying to escape my body and the physical pain that really trapped me for a long, long time. I didn't want to focus all on the negative because truly my upbringing was amazing, but I guess that's what has come up. So
I mean, I've talked to a couple dozen people for this podcast so far, and I can tell a massive difference in folks that are constraining themselves because they're afraid to tell their story versus people that are really open with the story. And I think in some cases, it's what you've been willing to work through. It's how you've become comfortable with yourself and you put the focus on that. And so thank you for sharing it because to me, it just shows that you're really in touch with yourself and had to experience and then how far you've come, if that makes sense. I think a lot of people like have a feeling that's like not good and have those thoughts and they haven't processed it and they don't know where it's from. So they kind of push it away. And you clearly are not pushing it away.
thank you. I think this year, my word for this year, it's not execute, it's release. And it's like just releasing my stories, my thoughts into the wild and letting them exist on their own. Yeah, I think I've spent the first 30 years of my life really trying to, I am now sharing stories that I never thought would see the light of day. And that's really scary and really powerful. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me about love that you talked about a cappella and performing. What was your school experience like and what were your parents' jobs and kind of that experience for you?
My mother, up until I was in middle school, she was a stay-at-home mom. What that looked like, she was a Girl Scout troop leader for both my troop and my sister's troop. We did a lot of camping trips, a lot of art projects. Humor is definitely one of our core values as a family. So we grew up watching Whose Line Is It Anyway? And going to local performances. And my family has a real appreciation for authentic art, which is cool. And then she became a Spanish teacher. And then my dad, we're so similar, and I'm following in his footsteps. So he has 25 plus years as an executive development leadership coach. Although for most of my childhood is like, what does your dad do? He's a consultant. Had no idea what that meant, but he's run his own business and is an entrepreneur and had a really successful business. I will say he spent a lot of time traveling. I don't know how he did it, but even though he spent so much time traveling, we talked to him every night and every single soccer game, theater performance. Like he was always there, our biggest fan, our biggest supporter. And to this day, like getting his affirmation, which he gives easily and unconditionally, but like getting affirmation from him it's the best. It's what I live for. So yeah. And then as far as like school wise, we lived in a neighborhood that I could walk to my high school. I had a block where my best friends were within walking distance. So very, I don't know, kind of cookie cutter, like sweet childhood from that perspective. And I remember from a really early age, I don't remember my parents, putting really big expectations on us. It was like we wouldn't get in trouble if we didn't get straight A's, but it was just kind of like, you make straight A's. It's kind of like the expectation is like you show up and you work hard and you do well. And so I think I early on kind of realized I don't necessarily think I'm super smart, but I'm a workhorse and I know how to work hard and study my little heart out. And so yeah, I learned that your worth is in your productivity and your worth ethic. And I was a perfectionist, still am recovering perfectionist. So, but I really think I put a bunch of expectations on myself. Although I will say another part of my childhood that is impactful is both my parents were always on a diet, always hating their bodies. And as a little girl who sees her mother's body and it's like, I have your same body. So really early on, I connected with her by like doing Weight Watchers and like
Mm.
being on diets as like a 5th grader, 6th grader. And again, I say it was like all self-imposed, but I think it was so infiltrated into our society,
Mm-hmm.
our household. There was a lot of shame and a lot of emphasis on presenting well, having it all together and doing all the things. And that's, yeah, very early on, I think is why I developed pretty disordered eating and cutting and stuff that was all very hidden until I was an adult. So a lot of my childhood was like outwardly masking happy, creative, successful. And then the other half was like this hidden, tortured soul that would never be allowed to see the light of day. How could I ever show people this tortured side of me?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that makes a lot of sense given everything that you shared, that probably wasn't something that maybe would have been welcome.
Yeah. And I will say, like, what I love about my parents and my family, as my dad is a coach, like, he's definitely one of the most emotionally aware. Like, he has a lot of female best friends. And so we did a lot of emotional processing together as a family. When you have a little explosion, it's like, tell me, what are the words behind those tears? So, which I think can be a good thing. And also sometimes not so much if you're not quite ready to externally process stuff.
Yeah, it's all a journey being a parent now. Oh my gosh, it's a journey trying to figure out the right way to parent and to not get mad and to help figure out the words to use and how to get them to think about the words to use. And oh man, it's hard. But now you're
Yeah.
like I'm listening to you as a person that went through maybe similar parenting style to what I'm trying to do. I'm like, maybe I should make some adjustments. What should I do? You know?
No, 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 no. I mean, to each their
But
own.
it's
And,
good. That's why I like to learn these things. I like to hear this stuff, I want to apply the lessons.
yeah. I think we had a very codependent relationship, just as far as like energy and anxiety and all of that. So I really appreciate, like, I can think of when my sister and I were really young, we slept in the same room. And my mother, I guess when she was a full-time mom, she was an aerobics instructor. She ran her own aerobic studio. She did some physical therapy for people. And one of the things that she did for us was she recorded a relaxation meditation for sleep that we would play at
Yeah.
night. And she would go body part by body part. Your arms are warm, sleepy, and relaxed. And every time we would always like be falling asleep, my sister and I, and then she'd always get to the buttocks and say, your buttocks are warm, sleepy, and relaxed. And we'd be like, and get all riled up. But she definitely taught us about the importance of moving your body every day, meditation. And again, like, she is why I embarked on my healing journey so young. And yeah, I'm really grateful for all the tools that she taught us at such a young
Yeah.
age. But also, yeah, I was not a big partier. I spent my parents never had to worry about me. I was hanging out with my group of like 3 girlfriends, and we just loved to play spades and play guitar and watch The Office. I was a goody two-shoes for sure.
Yeah. That's great that you still have those friends that close in your life. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a OGs thread. It's the 4 of us, and we still text weekly. It's really sweet.
Oh, wonderful. Are there any other experiences that you feel like shaped you from a childhood that kind of helped you become who you are?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll just touch on being queer.
Yeah.
My family is very liberal, and I was really lucky. Now, when I look at my family, I would say like 45-50% of us identify as, I have a cousin who's trans. My sister and I are both queer, bisexual. Yeah, I can go down the list. I don't need to call out all these people, but was just raised in a family where my mother's sister and one of my favorite relatives, she's a lesbian, and I walked her down the aisle as a 10-year-old, or I walked her wife down the aisle, so I was a part of her wedding.
That's so awesome.
And so it was just never anything other than just like who we are, and they were my favorite relatives. And it's funny to me that it took me so long to I didn't come out until my late 20s. And yeah, I was in such a family where it's like, how did you not see it? But I think that goes back to me being so kind of just like soaked in that male gaze, like heteronormative, getting all that positive affirmation from heterosexuality and the heteronormative structures. But yeah, coming from a family like that, it was really amazing because I didn't even really have to. I was just like, I have a girlfriend now. And they were like, oh, cool. So that was cool.
That is good.
Yeah.
That's cool. Thank you, by the way, for all of the wonderful background. I love it. It kind of paints this interesting like quilt of your upbringing and your childhood and all the stuff that's so unique to you and clearly you've evolved and you've changed and you've grown. So thank you for sharing all of that.
Yes. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Walk us through kind of what your career path has looked like.
So I was always the first one in, always the last one out. Doesn't matter if we have like company-wide lunch, I'm working through it because that's what success meant to me was I need to be the best. I need to be the highest performer. I need to have the most units of whatever that is. And so that was a consistent theme across my career. So I got my start in sales from a referral of someone I met through the book selling thing. And then I really quickly pivoted into recruitment. I found that I love recruiters. I loved being the brand ambassador, the cheerleader. So I did a very fast-paced recruitment agency. And then I got my dream job at Bumble. And I was their first and sole recruiter for a year, which was amazing. And even now, I look back on it and I can remember like doing recruiter screens while I had auras in my vision because I was getting a migraine. I was just going to muscle through it. So I had a very successful career on paper and I was in technical recruitment. And so I also got really used to being a part of layoffs. So 2020, I was at a startup and was a part of my first kind of official layoff due to COVID. And that just became a part of the deal. I worked at, have you heard of The Zebra? We're in Austin, Texas.
Okay. Oh, I have, but maybe people in the audience haven't.
Okay. Insurance comparison site. I was there for 3 years and it was amazing. I got to do diversity, equity, and inclusion stuff. I ran community events. I managed a team. We had employee resource groups, all that good stuff. And then was a part of a layoff, which was fine. And after 4 layoffs, I realized like, Haley, my love, you can keep doing this. But if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you always get, which is like successful, but pretty exhausted, pretty burnt out, and continually not needed by the company because you're getting laid off.
Gosh, I've been through my fair share of layoffs as well. And I feel like recruiting is also one of those areas where it's going to be the first to go because the company knows they are not hiring. So you're in a very fragile position just by nature of the work that you do.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I realized that recruitment is a zone of competence for sure, but the amount of energy and effort and exhaustion, I kept looking for startups that wanted the people that could do it all. And so I was doing it all, even though I really only loved this very, very specific part of it. And even since my first recruitment role, every company that I've been at, I've been like a hands-on recruiter, people manager, etc. But since my early days, I've always, in my kind of free time at the company, I've always done L&D workshops. Every company I've been at, I've done my workshop all about Carol Dweck's The Growth Mindset and building confidence through a growth mindset, cultivating a gratitude practice, and all this stuff that I was doing like in my healing, learning, and development of myself, I was still doing for fun, even though I wasn't getting paid for that.
I love that. I love that you were doing that.
But yeah, I was like, okay, this clearly is never going away. And then my most recent corporate role, I was just watching one of your other podcasts. I can't remember his name, but it was very similar where it was like head of recruitment, the best title I've ever had, managing a team, making more money than I've ever made, to where I didn't have to worry about my mortgage. I didn't have to say no to anything. And from week one on that job, I could feel, what have I done?
Oh my God.
What have I done? How am I possibly going to be able to stay at this company through December? I joined in March or April, and I experienced burnout at every company that I was at, but this was definitely the most extreme, to where I couldn't ignore it. And I did go through, Googled, like, what's the definition of a psychosis? I went through a psychotic break.
What do you think caused that? Was it because you had kind of checked all the boxes and then that's how you felt? Or was it something external? Or what do you think?
I ended up getting the job. I think I started in April of whatever year it was. But in January, February, March, as I was navigating that layoff and trying to figure out what I wanted to do, it was clear that I was really itching and starting to explore launching my own thing. I was going to all these like webinars and doing all this research and was kind of going in this direction. And then this job description that it was like, oh my gosh, if I were to stay in tech, this would be my dream job. Salary, money, impact, equity and inclusion, like all the things that I look for in a recruitment role. It was that. And that was so reassuring to know, like, it felt like I had manifested this dream job, and to have it so viscerally. Well, first off, the imposter syndrome was massive because this was my first time in this role. I don't need to mudsling or go into any of it. There was embezzlement. There was all sorts of stuff going on behind the scenes that made it a really stressful place to work. And absolutely, I had no boundaries. I was coming in as this head of, and I was so desperate to prove myself. The CEO had sent me a message before I started saying, oh, I'm excited to meet you. I've heard you walk on water. And he meant it as a compliment, and my body took it as a threat. It was like, oh gosh, everything I do, they're going to expect walking on water, which you can't even do. I was terrified, and I was trapped in fight or flight. And just from the get-go, I was working 12-hour days. I lost 10 pounds because I wasn't eating, or like I didn't have time to cook for myself because I had like 2 minutes in between every meeting, if that. This was a reoccurring theme that I've done at every company, where it's like, I'm going to stop journaling. I'm going to stop singing. I'm going to stop doing all the hobbies and things that light me up while I, get successful here.
Yeah.
And which is not the path. It's definitely not the path for me. And I knew that I had hit, I'll talk about the psychosis. So I have ADHD. I'm a very energetic sensory processing person. So I already make a lot of noise. But I remember going to the beach a few months after I'd started with my family. And so they were kind of a mirror of, they were experiencing me in a new way, to where I developed these tics where I was like, oh, 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 just kind of my brain was on fire with constant anxious thoughts that I just was like constantly trying to flick off. And I had these phrases like, oh, whatever, whatever, whatever. So I was spilling over vocally, and I was hallucinating. I multiple times in the middle of the night, Vanessa, I could wake up because I could hear and feel the energy shifting in my room and feel other presences with me.
Yeah.
And the rock bottom was
Rock bottom.
rock bottom. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was one night where I come to, and this figure is charging at me.
Oh my
and I
gosh.
sprint downstairs, and I really kind of wake up, like adrenaline pounding. I'm holding a kitchen knife. And of course, I'm in a state of flare up. At the same time, both my cats had ringworm, so they were quarantined. So I didn't have them with me. The whole house was flared up. But I'm standing there, and I am so sure that there is someone in my bedroom coming at me. And that's when I realized, cool, this is not sustainable. This is not getting better. And all sorts of things kind of launched me, but a lot of conversations around medication. I talked to my aunt's wife, who I walked down the aisle, and it was just so clear, like, yeah, there needs to be a change. Fortunately, a few weeks later, I was a part of the company layoff, and I just remember exhaling and laughing and being like, oh my God, thank God. Like, I had already made the decision, but the universe really made it for me to where I could exit gracefully. And that was the nail in the coffin of like, that was my dream job. And if like that isn't doing it for me, now is the time to go all in on what I truly want. And that's what I did.
Yeah.
So
Oh my gosh. Your story definitely gave me chills. I feel like I'm right there with you, like watching that happen, how scary that experience would be and going through that. I mean, it's so wild, isn't it? How much torture we can put ourselves through just by doing what we think we're supposed to do and not saying no and walking away.
yes.
I wanted to ask you, once you came to the realization that you clearly came to the realization that this was not working for you. You stayed until they laid you off. How long was that between you knew and the layoff happening?
Probably a month and a half. Even before that, I so viscerally knew, this is a slight tangent, but it's really important because there was this camp in North Carolina, this like queer camp for kids, and they were looking for volunteer camp counselors to lead songwriting workshops and guitar and all this stuff. And I've gone to camp, but I'd never been a counselor. And I was like, I said to myself before I said yes to this position, I said, if I say yes to this job and I end up not doing this week-long music camp, I for sure know that I am out of alignment and making a decision that doesn't align. And I said that so clearly. And then a few weeks into being at my new company, I was like, I can't even consider it. So I knew the whole time. Why did I stay? I've experienced lifestyle creep. I have a mortgage. I have a partner right now, but I have spent most of my time being single and independent and being a badass at that. And I was really scared. And it was starting to get a little better. I say that. I don't think that's really true.
You really
I
wanted it to be true.
I really wanted it to be true. I was really hopeful that I might be able to figure out a way to set better boundaries because I want to honor that, like, I guess it's both things, right? Like, systematically, scrappy tech startups, it's hard to not burn out if your boss and your boss's boss and your boss's boss's boss are all burning out. Like, my boss came to me more times than not. She was crying to me
Oh my gosh.
in our one-on-ones.
That's not good.
I felt
There's
it.
no
No.
way that's good.
I felt a commitment to my team. I think I wanted to prove that I could handle it and I did know what I was doing. Yeah, so I guess just fear and really not listening to my true gut.
Yeah.
I think I was still so focused on what other people thought of me, being able to write the shit, being able to prove that they didn't, make the wrong hire, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, just external judgment of what other people think.
Yeah, absolutely. I think
Yeah.
that happens to a lot of us. What was your decision-making process like as you went through the layoff? What was it like to make that decision of maybe not going to the next job and starting something for yourself?
Yeah. I definitely put my head in the sand a little bit. So I got laid off, and then just to full circle, like a few weeks after is when I went to the Eras tour and like manifested those tickets. So definitely I was in a good enough place to where like I had a few months where I was just working on refilling my buckets of energy and doing not much. Except I think really what I was doing in those months is I was getting really clear exactly what I wanted and then the mindset of, okay, how to go about doing it. And once I made the decision of I am not going back into corporate, like I am ready to launch my own business, whatever that looks like. A few days later, I was with my friend at Barton Springs and we met this woman, Samantha Bove, shout out, and we just hit it off and we're talking. And then I was like, what do you do? And of course she goes, oh, I help people who have pivoted out of corporate launch their own I help women launch their own businesses and their own personal brands from the ground up. It was like,
Oh my God.
so really, it was like once I made the decision, the universe sent stuff to me that was like, cool. This is what alignment feels like.
Oh my gosh, that's so amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna have to ask just for the tangential aside because we didn't capture the Eras tour on
that's
camera
right.
here. So would you mind just like sharing a little bit about? I mean, it's definitely a side story, but I think it's a cool one.
Yeah. So I talk a lot about manifestation, and I think it's very woo-woo to people. At its core, manifestation is simply getting so clear in what you want and being certain that it's going to happen. But it's not like then you just sit back and do nothing, but it's having that sort of certainty. And so one of my besties, Milo, and I, we were desperate to go to the Eras tour, and there was no way that I was going to forgive myself if I was going to spend thousands of dollars. I just thought that was so inappropriate. Just no. So I had this number. It's like, okay, how much would I really spend? Like I would spend up to $300 on a ticket. I would do that. And he and I were just, I was kind of new to manifesting, and I was like, gosh damn it, we're going to manifest these tickets. We're going to Taylor Fest these tickets. And so we bought our place in our Airbnb in NOLA, which is where for the night we wanted to go, months in advance. So we did not have to, but we bought the place and we were like, worst case scenario, we'll just show up the day of and see what we can find. And so yeah, we had that. We had months of kind of dead ends and doing stuff. And then again, Barton Springs, the same place where I met Sammy. I go to Barton Springs and I happen to walk by my friend's sister. And I don't remember how it came up. I think Milo was wearing a Taylor Swift shirt. And she was like, yeah, we were going to go, but my friend just had her baby. So we're not going anymore. We have 2 tickets and they're $300. Do you want them? It was like, incredible. So the universe is magical. Thank you.
Yeah, yes, that's amazing. Oh my gosh. Okay,
I was like, I could see it. We visualized it. We're just so sure that it was happening, and we made it happen.
I think Barton Springs is like your magical place. All right, thank you for that detour. I think it was amazing. I love that story.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's go back to you left the corporate thing. You're figuring it out, getting in alignment. What are you doing as you're preparing for all of this? Like, did you have time to prepare before you left? Or was it something that you're like, oh, it just happened and now suddenly I'm figuring out the next steps?
Yeah, I did not have time to, or I chose not to. It was very much like, I'm getting a lot better at being a non-black and white thinker, but I'm very all in, all or nothing. And so I've always known that when I decide to go all in, I'm not going to like do it and also have another job. Like it was just going to have to be like, let's go. I felt that very clearly once I was able to like put that company behind me. And then I will say, I think one of the most powerful tools for me is my writing. And I did so much. I don't just want to say affirmations because I think when people hear that, they're like, oh, okay, so you just like stay really positive and like say things that feel fake, which is not at all. That's not it, right? But so much writing where in a present tense, I am writing how I want to feel, how I want to be showing up, the community that I am building, how abundance flows to me with ease. I mean, and this was a daily practice of just getting so clear, not on like maybe the specific details. I just think of it as like, before you plant a garden, you have to sweep away all the debris and weeds and lay down the bed before you can plant the seeds. And that's what it felt like I was doing with my writings, my celebrations of stuff that has not yet come to be.
What is that?
Just it's similar to the affirmations and this was a practice I got from Samantha Bove, where every day you start with, I am celebrating. And then you list all the things that you have, that you feel, that have come to you before they've come.
You know that moment when you realize that you can't keep living the way that you've been living? You've probably heard several of my guests talk about that already. If that resonates with you and you're feeling like you're in that moment, you're in luck. I've created a 30-day program that's going to help you become unstuck, reconnect with your joy, reconnect with yourself, and reconnect with your values. We're going to work together to figure out your next step, your vision, and your path forward. This is an invitation for you to live the life of your dreams that truly lights you up. Visit 101waysout.com to get started.
So many people think like, well, you get what you want. And what I'm learning is like, you get who you are. And so much of the preparation was, how am I leveling up my vibration? I know it sounds woo-woo, but I'm assuming you get it, right? How am I leveling up my vibration and surrounding myself with other people who are doing what I want to do, and they're coming from a place of abundance and can do and positivity and doing stuff, as opposed to coming from like scarcity mindset and fear and all of that.
What is your support system like?
First and foremost, I want to thank my 2 precious kitties. I've gotten so clear that like wealth to me and abundance, one of the ways that I have abundance in my life now is when I have my happy buzzing kitties that are sleeping with me. So they're an incredible support system. I have an amazing support system, and I have put so much time and intention into building that out. So I'll talk about the growth mindset, Carol Dweck's growth mindset, which of course, right?
I love it. I love it. And please share. And the fact that you teach this is like, I'm so excited.
Yes, it's always at the core of everything I do, because it's like, no matter what you want, whether it's more confidence in speaking or getting better at guitar or building your own business, no matter what you want, everything is a skill that you can learn. So the fixed mindset is, this is how it is. I'm never going to be better at guitar. There will always be way more better people. There's no point in me practicing because I'm never going to get better. And then the growth mindset is, you gotta be bad at stuff over and over and over before you get good. You gotta be comfortable in the discomfort of being kind of bad at what it is you want. And then once you've gotten clear on what it is you want, a big part of the growth mindset is community, and communifying is what I call it. And finding all your people who can be your cheerleaders and accountability buddies and stuff like that. So, of course, I have my father, who we're different, right? Like I'm certainly way more on like LinkedIn and social media and stuff, but he's an amazing mentor and coach for me. I have actually my best friend that I met in Southwestern. She lives right down the street from me. So I have my crew of women where we're always going to the gym and we're, each other's support systems. And then I definitely have chosen, like, you got to pay to play, right? Like I've paid money to work with coaches and people who have done the things that I want to do and can really, be your accountability buddy, be your mirror and clarity. So I have an amazing support system. And also shout out to my girlfriend. She's the most, especially as I've been in the messy middle this year, it's interesting to see the people pop out of the woodwork who are really trying to pull you down and really like trapped in their own fears and jealousy that like, look at you being cringe and like kind of look at you trying to go for your dreams. And so I've become really intentional with who I'm spending my time with. And I've been able to really viscerally start picking up on like, ooh, you got some dense, dark energy, and I feel pretty depleted after hanging out with you. Like, I'm going to take some space from you and really hang out with the people that the first time we met, we spent an hour talking. It was like, oh my gosh, like you are one of the examples of how to communify and like the amazing relationships and how much I've learned just from following you and seeing your vulnerable posts and seeing how you're just launching this podcast, which is one of my future goals.
I love it.
Yeah, that's what I'll say.
On the Carol Dweck thing real fast, as you're sharing your story and what that means, you brought up 2 different thoughts that I want to share and touch on real fast. for the longest time, like I'm a reader, I'm a learner, especially in the days before the internet became what it is. I mean, I read so many books and articles, and I'm still an avid article reader, but I feel like everything is shorter form now. All of that to say, when I was a teenager and in my 20s, before I discovered Carol Dweck, I don't even think she was publishing this at the time, so it must have been before her research came out. All of the common research I was reading was that your personality is fixed at a certain point in time, around 19 years old, right? And so I was like, oh shit. At that point in my life, I was like, I am depressed. I was living in this small town outside of San Antonio, Texas. I didn't really, hadn't traveled very much. And so I didn't really know what else was out there. I had thankfully have a really fantastic cousin in my life that has traveled the world and was telling me all about these amazing places. And so I was like, there's a little bit of hope, but I just feel really disappointed about, gosh, is this me, this 19-year-old person? Is this always going to be me? And I am so beyond thankful and grateful that it is such bullshit. Like that is such bullshit.
Such bullshit. Yes.
Like
Yeah.
why? I don't even know why that was a prevailing thought or why that was, I don't know. But thank goodness people like Carol Dweck exist and that they can teach us that no, we actually can continue to learn and grow throughout our lives. And it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. What do you think? I think you mentioned your cousin, but how did you first start getting glimmers of like, oh, wait, this isn't my forever. This isn't fixed.
I think I feel like I'm in my 40s and I'm still working through all of that stuff,
Oh,
like,
yeah. We'll be working on it till we die.
Till we die. Yeah. Thankfully. Right. Thank goodness. I think I've naturally always been this person that really wants to support other people and create things and do cool things, but also just not make it always about me. Like I love it being about other people, but that was definitely not my home environment, which I won't go into. But my home environment was more like us against the world, like they're out to get us. Like it just wasn't a positive, like the community of the world, it wasn't like a positive place. But seeing my cousin go and experience the world in a very different way from what my mother in particular experienced the world, I was like, there is actually something else out there and it looks beautiful and amazing. And I really want to have that experience. And so I had a lot of good encounters and I met my husband and all this stuff kind of in my early 20s. But before that, I tried to do my web development career, stayed in San Antonio at this point in time. I was like, gosh, this is not taking off. There's no work, here. I really can't get a good career going. And so I decided to follow in my cousin's footsteps. He's a flight attendant. So I became a flight attendant and
Let's go.
it's so great. It was
Taking
so crazy.
flight.
Taking flight. I mean, this is like over 20 years ago, but it was the only thing I knew. I knew he was happy. I knew he loved his life more than anyone I have ever met. And he saw the world. And so I just wanted that. I was like, I tried to do the corporate thing. It wasn't really working. I had never lived anywhere else. I'm just going to go be a flight attendant so I can see the world. And the most amazing thing about that experience was the training was 6 weeks.
Okay.
And I thought I'd be pushing a cart down the aisle. I'd be taking orders. Like that would be the training. I think I did that literally one time in the entire training program. And all of the rest was safety and how do you interact with other people? How do you treat other people? At this time it was American Eagle. So they're like small regional carrier, but they were so focused on the customer experience and teaching you how to help people feel really good about the time they were on the plane. And I just loved it. I just loved it. And that was the first real glimmer. I was like, oh, I can change. Like I can't change the world around me, but I can change the way I think about the world around me. Thank you, American Eagle.
Fly like an eagle.
Exactly.
Beautiful story. Thank you for sharing. And it is true. Like we do know for sure. I won't be able to speak real science details. I can talk, generally. But what is it like by the time you are 7 years old, 95% of your subconscious programming has been programmed. And what's so amazing about Carol Dweck and the growth mindset is you can change your subconscious programming. And yeah, I think there are so many people that aren't taught that. And so it is like, this is how I've always been. And it's a very defensive, kind of how you talked about like us against the world, like defensive. Those are all patterns and habits. And so much of my coaching, so much of my own healing and so much of my coaching is like, what are those core experiences that you had when you were itty bitty bitty that made you believe truths about yourself that actually might not necessarily be true, and learning about like we all are human. We all have, our kind of lizard animal brain. And then of course we have our sort of like ruminating as we've advanced as a species, but we all have these natural defense mechanisms, whether it's fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, and just learning, okay, without you thinking about it, that's what your body goes to naturally. But being able to dissect, oh, well, actually, yeah, when I was 5 years old, this was, and so I have learned that when I people please, my mom's happy and then I am
Mm-hmm.
safe. And it's
Yep.
all coming from you want to keep yourself safe, but the beliefs and patterns that we're not aware of, we think it's keeping us safe, and it's doing just the exact opposite of that.
Oh, that sounds so powerful. I love that that's what you help people work through. That's so great.
Yeah, shout out to my dad for one of the activities I do is I did his 9-month executive development leadership program. And it's like whether you're wanting to become a better leader of other people or simply of yourself, like understanding why do I do what I do? And yeah, and it's all not that we need to change ourselves, right? I don't see of it as like changing and improving. I see of it as like a sort of stripping down and a relaxing into your
Yeah.
truest self.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. You're
yeah.
freeing yourself. Is there anything that you wish you had known before you left your corporate life?
I can think of so many things that I wish I had known, but I've also come to learn that but not knowing them and learning them, that's a part of the process. That's the messy middle. You can't get to where you want to go without being in this messy middle. So some of the thoughts coming to my mind are like, oh, I wish I had done it sooner. And it's like, I don't think that's true. I think I needed to have all these experiences. Plus my last 2 jobs is like allowed me to get the income to save up to where I did feel comfortable launching. Yeah. It's like, oh, I wish I had more trust in myself, but I know that the only reason I have so much certainty and trust in myself now is because I've spent years not trusting myself and feeling how untethering it is to always be responding based off of external stuff. Yeah, I guess the thing to know is like, I just looked at a collage I made and I'll say the art that you are seeking is also seeking you. And I've been saying like the life that you are seeking is also seeking you. Not that that would have changed anything. I think I probably wasn't ready to hear that until more recently. Have trust in the timing, have trust in the process. And if anything, I think knowing your body will tell you when things are off. Your body will tell you. Your body is always sending you signals. But my journey has been learning that muscling and hustling through does not get me what I want. And it took me, 34 years to realize that. But that might be something because I use that with my clients is first off, I definitely don't have any answers, right? But my job is to be the mirror and follow the energy that I get from them. And so that's my guiding light is what are the things that excite you and bring you joy and invigorate you and make you feel like a child again? Because it's really easy I've gotten to the place where I'm so embodied, it's really easy to tell that when you are working with, like you can hear it in their voice and their energy and their shoulds and listen to myself more. But I was at a place where I wasn't ready to listen to myself. So
Yeah. You already mentioned earlier about like that it was a scary situation that you were like very afraid the lead up to leaving the corporate job and then kind of figuring things out a bit afterward. Is there anything else to add about that?
yeah, I love the question, were you scared? Yeah, of course. And what I've learned, it's not about avoiding what feels scary. It's for me as someone with ADHD, I talk a lot about like ditching overwhelm, but in truth, I've learned like overwhelm is one of the ways that I go through my process. And so anytime I'm experiencing fear or overwhelm, fear of judgment, fear of uncertainty, I personify those emotions. I call them my little gremlin self, but really they're like my little 3-year-old self that's just scared. And so what I come back to every day is like, yeah, I'm driving this car and I'm going to put overwhelm in the little car seat in the back and I'm going to pack her, her little snacks. And fear of failure is also there. And if we need to pull off at the rest stop and like have a tantrum, we can. You are invited on this journey. You are a part of this family. I'm not leaving you. you're invited, you're welcome. You don't get to drive this car. I'm driving. So that's the biggest thing is like, yeah, you're gonna feel scared as hell. You're gonna want to quit. You're gonna all these things. And that's okay. That doesn't mean you have to act on those things. It's just like, cool, I'm gonna put you in the back seat because mama's driving.
I love that so much. That's great. What a great visual.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. How has your life changed before? I mean, it seems very clear, but I'd love to hear, like, how has your life changed before you left corporate and now?
Oh gosh, so many beautiful ways. I'll say it till the cows come home, still in the messy middle, but how has it changed? It feels so amazing I don't just want to talk about my calendar, but to have such autonomy of my time and of the people I'm talking to. Like when you launch your own business, you get to decide who you work with and like the people you vibe with and the people who vibe with you. And so my days are filled talking to people that I love and talking to people who love working with me.
Yeah.
And so much of my time in corporate was being in meetings with people that I did not respect. I did not think were doing a good job of leading the ship. And yet I was having to try to convince candidates to come to this shitstorm. And it felt so inauthentic. So I feel so authentic in what I'm doing and the autonomy I have over my schedule. Now, of course, the autonomy over my schedule is really overwhelming too, right? I have ADHD. Like executive function was a struggle in corporate, and it's like almost become more of a struggle now that I'm completely in charge of everything. But I approach things with so much more compassion and awareness of my energy. So I think I have cycles. And so Monday and Tuesday, it's like, oh, I came in so hot and I was up until Tuesday until 1:30 working on this offer. And then Wednesday, I was tapped. I had one meeting and then I spent an hour and a half in the middle of the day napping with my cats because I could. And I have this awareness now of like with corporate, there was no downtime. It was like 12 hours, 10 to 12 hours every day, just push through. And now I use my energy and I use my emotions as a guide, right? And of course, I've become really in touch with how I can shift my own energy, whether it's like voice, movement, sound. But I've also accepted like, oh, I'm in gremlin mode. I'm in gremlin mode and my little 3-year-old just wants to be heard. So today we're going to clear the schedule and put on our PJs and relax into gremlin mode. And so I have a compassion and a sort of control over my time in a way that really honors myself in a way that I would never have felt allowed to do in the corporate world. I think that's the main thing. And then really the second biggest thing is because I am starting off and, the first year is the hardest, they always say, which I'm experiencing. And yet I've decided and I've built my muscle of having true certainty and trust in myself. Because it really was like, I keep hitching my wagon to all these other people's wagons and they don't know what they're doing. The one person that I can always count on to figure stuff out and get stuff done is me. And so that self-trust and certainty has been crucial because I'm still waiting for certain things to happen and for certain amounts of wealth and abundance and stuff to show up. But I know it's happening and it's going to happen. And that sort of calm certainty in myself, I've never felt until I transitioned into this. And then lastly, I'll say, of course, with my calendar, I'm just doing so much singing, performing. Told you about that poetry read, my first ever poetry reading last night that I did. This is my first podcast and I want to do many more. And so I'm just spending so much of my time doing the things that I love and talking with amazing thought leaders and facilitating. And I feel like all of my buckets are so full as opposed to normally it's corporate life. It's like 90% work, 10% everything else. And now my therapist said, she's like, people with ADHD, you need to spend 50% of your time having fun. And I was like, what?
Right.
But I've kind of been using that as like, okay, fun joy, that's a must. That's a must have for me. And if I'm not doing that, like I see it, I feel it.
I love that. Oh my gosh. I
Yeah.
love that advice from your therapist. That is so cool.
I know. I was like, no way.
It's like permission. I mean, gosh, isn't that so like when you're a child, that's all you really want to do. You're like, yes, I can get my homework done, but then I'm going to go play. But then you become an adult, and like every step of the way, it's like society's like, no more playing. Stop it. No more playing. You're not allowed. You know?
I know. And it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking and it's soul sucking. And I talk to so many people. I'm sure you do too. I talk to so many people who are at the height of their career. They have their golden handcuffs and they're so committed to the idea that they are trapped, they are stuck, and there is no way they could ever get out of it. And they are miserable.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's like,
Absolutely.
life is too short. Life is
Yeah.
too short.
Well, I agree with you 100%. It's like once you get, I got to that point, I was 100% at that point, and you get to that point, you're like, is this what I'm going to do for another 20 years? Like, how many more years do I have where I'm really going to be able-bodied and I can go hiking and I can go adventuring? And for me, I have a wonderful kid that I can go experience these amazing things as a family. I don't want to be stuck at a desk 12 hours a day for 20 more years, right?
For what?
Oh, how has your income changed? And what has that meant for you?
Yeah. Well, it's definitely changed.
Don't worry, you're not alone.
It's been a really humbling experience. I will say that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's been a really humbling experience. Also, so much of what I've been doing is learning about mindsets, the mindsets we have around money. Because even when I was making so much money, it was still like, oh, but it was still coming from a sort of place of there's never enough and but learning about the energetics of money and the idea of when you're in like an hourly job or you get like a certain amount of salary or whatever, it's very much like you get paid in transaction for your time, as opposed to now it's like you get paid in transaction for your offerings, the energetics of like, oh, I just get to create what I want, and that's going to bring me my wealth and abundance.
Yeah, absolutely. Rather than it being time-based, it's almost more, in your case, it's wisdom that you've learned over time and you put effort in. And so it's not based on time, it's based on everything that you've built up to this point.
Yeah.
You know? And also, I think also a bit of art, because you clearly are a creative artist.
Yeah.
So you bring all of that together. And that's very different than paying someone an hourly rate.
Yeah. Yeah. Very different. And I'm also starting to really have to decide what are the things that I'm going to take on and what are the things that I can start delegating out to other people. And when is that time for me to get someone that I can help me execute on, because that's such a struggle for me. So yeah, still the messy middle.
Yeah.
Still waiting for my before and after, but I will say, like, if I were to die tomorrow, I would die so happy and so fulfilled and so wealthy. Really redefining, like, what does wealth actually mean? Because I say this all the time to my clients where they're like, well, I just need this salary. And it's like, okay, but if you had all that money on a table and you couldn't do anything with it, it's not the actual money that you want. What is it that you really want beneath the money? Is it freedom? Is it autonomy? Is it security? And so getting super clear on what wealth and abundance means to me, how am I already seeing that express itself in my life, and leaning into those things, again, to get on the vibrational level of being in a place to receive money in a different way than I ever have before. And a quick story, if it's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or a practice that my girlfriend and I have been doing that has been so fun. Once you start kind of getting into the world of like manifesting money, they talk a lot about your money mindset, what beliefs you have around money. And one of the things they say is that you start developing a gratitude practice for every little bit of so like every time you use your credit card, it's like, oh, so much gratitude. Thank you so much. Every time you pay a bill, you know, it's not like, oh, I gotta pay this bill. It's like, I am circulating wealth every time I pay my mortgage. And so my girlfriend and I, it was just kind of a fun way for us to build something together. I was learning about this and it's like, okay, anytime I find a penny or a dime, it's like if you can have the same amount of gratitude for receiving thousands of dollars as you have for receiving a penny. And so we've started collecting money. So we have this cute little, I don't know if you can see it. No, this little cat piggy bank. And everywhere we go, we find money. Now, it's mostly pennies, some dimes. The other day, I went for a bike ride and I biked by a $100 bill.
Nice.
So that went in there. So it's been a lot of mindset, gratitude, and just having so much gratitude for the smallest ways that you are seeing wealth and abundance show up. And it's so crazy. We'll go for walks and I'm like, I feel a dime. I feel the dime. And then I'll look down and there's the dime, you know? So right now I'm mostly manifesting pennies, but it'll get bigger for sure.
That's so great. I was watching something recently about how this manifestation practice, it was a neuroscientist explaining it. And he's like,
Science backed.
It's science backed. Absolutely. And he's like, you're creating new pathways in your brain to look for opportunity where we're not normally wired for that. We're normally wired for safety and security and lack and looking out and being kind of these scared little animals. But when you start to manifest, you're just seeing the world is the world. You're seeing things you would never have otherwise seen because you haven't primed yourself for that.
Totally.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And I love that you mentioned, yes, this is all science-backed stuff. The definite stuff is the proper science technical term.
That's the technical term. I like it. Stuff is a good term.
Stuff.
I love it. Do you have an ultimate vision for what you want your life to look like?
It looks very similar to the life that I am living right now, which feels so to say. The biggest, I think, vision that I am working towards goes back to the intention I talked about, the idea of execution. That does not resonate. It does not feel good. It makes me feel like I'm behind. And so this idea of releasing things into the wild, when I think about the empire and the community that I have built, I have my memoir that has been officially written and released. I have at least one, if not multiple albums. I'm able to release with ease. I will say I feel a little constipated creatively.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if it's an hourglass and I have all these things, I have all these stories, all these LinkedIn posts, all these Instagram stuff, and you have to release it through this tiny little hole. So my vision for myself is just getting stuff out of the way and releasing it into the world to where it frees me up to get into a flow.
Yeah.
So that's my vision.
I like it. I like it. In your ideal state, would it be widening the hourglass so that you can release more?
Yeah. And I think just flexing the muscle of when I do release, I guess getting the feedback from others that it resonates, it helps them. I really want to inspire people to live their most expressed, out loud, happily authentic, emotional spectrum selves. And so I guess that's my ultimate vision for myself, is living my most expressed, happily authentic self and helping other people do the same. So yeah, widening of that, inviting other people into my journey, into the space. It's cheesy to say, but really just being a light leader and helping. We just need in this time, I'll just say they want us to feel isolated, scared, alone, hopeless, helpless. And so everything that I can do to help myself and other people feel the complete opposite of all those things. Hopeful,
Yes.
optimistic, creative, in community with one another. I believe in us as a human race, and I think we're in a really trying time. So yeah, my vision is to be the healer that I needed. Yeah, still be the healer that I need, and hopefully help other people in the process.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. And I 100% agree with you. And I absolutely love that is your intention and wisdom.
Thank you.
Mm.
Yeah, I wouldn't have told you this when we first met because I officially have my company name. It's now, I did it this week. It's called A Lighter Way Consulting. Because every single thing I do, it's like, oh, it's a lighter way to career clarity. It's a lighter way to layoffs. Like, how can we live this, just like get more exhale, more light, more space in our minds, in our bodies. Yeah. How can we live a lighter way together?
Absolutely. That's fantastic. If you had to choose between happiness and success, which would you choose? And has your answer changed over time?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes, it has. And my first question would be, well, what do you mean by success? I think success means something different to everyone. And yeah, success to me used to mean working my little heart out and getting the external validation, having that title, having that salary, having the respect of these C-suites and other leaders. And fortunately, that has absolutely changed. For me, yeah, it was associated with prestige and all these external things. And now success to me, it means having a grounded faith in myself and a certainty in myself and living my life that has all of my values of authenticity, creativity, community, inclusion. It's fair to say, even though I'm going through all this messy middle and, just so many things I'm figuring out, I am the happiest and the most creatively expressed that I've ever been. And so I'm at this place where for me, happiness and success are pretty aligned and pretty in touch with I am my happiest when I am autonomous and intact with my creativity and working with people that energize me and vice versa. And I believe that when I am my fully in my happiness, that is what is going to bring me my success because it's like one and the same. So yeah, that's what I'll say about that.
That's great. What advice do you have for people who are trying to figure out what to do with their lives?
Have so much compassion for yourself. Remember to, first and foremost, remember that like the inner child is alive and well within all of us. And when figuring out what to do with your life, that's one of the ways of getting the energetic breadcrumbs of what do you want to do is, and how are you activating the things that truly make you feel lit up, energized, in flow. So that's one thing. Just back to the idea of the growth mindset and like just this idea that, or the truth that if you have this yearning, this pull, this voice that is telling you that there is something more, that is your truth. And that is something that deserves following. And you don't have to do it alone because there's this idea that, oh, like, what am I supposed to do? I feel so overwhelmed. I feel so stuck. And it's like, great. It sounds like you have a lot of clarity that you feel stuck. And that's an amazing clarity to start with. And I recommend communifying. Find other people, whether it's, hiring us as coaches.
Yeah.
Find other people that are doing, living, being in ways that make you go, oh, I could never. And those are start having conversations with those people. I've found that anytime I am stuck, having a conversation with someone else always, always, always presents something that helps me take the tiniest step forward. So trusting the synchronicities, trusting when the universe presents something that is like, that feels like a coincidence. It's like, that's an energetic breadcrumb, my love. And like, follow it. Because as long as you continue to try to stuff that yearning down, it's just going to keep getting louder and louder. So
that's great.
yeah.
That's amazing.
Thanks.
Okay. What is the most liberating decision that you have made since leaving your corporate job that you would never have been able to make before?
It goes back to this idea of trust. I've never felt I've got me. I've always, when it's like a disordered eating, perfectionism, presenting, it's always been like, all I know is to do stuff to get external feedback from others that what I'm doing is right. And it has only been in me fully leaving and fully leaning into everything that I love and everything that I believe, that I have this newfound sense of self-trust that I've never had before. And that's not really a liberating decision, except that I think the liberating decision was deciding life is too short to
Yeah.
live any life for other people except myself and my energy and what I want. So deciding that you are going to be unapologetically team you and starting to go and live your life and make decisions and do that from that perspective has been completely life-changing.
I love it. Last question that was not on the question list.
Ooh, okay.
What is saving your life right now?
Conversations like this, getting to be around other people who are in the ring doing the damn thing that I want to do. People, yeah, like you that come from this abundance and growth and development and this idea that like it is possible to create a fulfilling life. That is, I would be completely lost and stuck and nowhere without my community and
Yeah.
getting together with my best friends and going to the gym and having my girlfriend as my support system. So that and my constant writing practice is really oof. Yeah, it's how I process, it's how I meditate, it's how I navigate through all the things. So,
I love that. I love that.
and then
I think
lastly,
that's
breath. I'll say my breath, my breathing. And using breath, movement, sound as ways to like shift energy, like that has been truly life-saving.
yeah, that's so cool too. I feel like that's the movement piece is something I have to constantly remind myself of. For whatever reason, it doesn't come naturally. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm feeling this way. I can move and that will help.
Yeah. And, and sometimes it's too hard to convince yourself to move. And that's okay. That's when I'm like, okay, gremlin mood, gremlin little girl is refusing to move right now. And I'm going to have compassion for her and I'm going to let her sit on this couch for the next couple hours. And you move through it, right? And then you get to a place where you do move. So, yeah, movement, breath, and sound that always come back to those things. And then, of course, my amazing cats. They are saving my life. They saved my life when I got them. I went years with like best friends and a partner that was really allergic to cats. So one of my biggest, I'm gonna freaking finally adopt cats and be a cat mom. Finally. That was like, like truly, completely changed the amount of joy and love that I have for them and for myself. Like I now call myself Honey Bunny only because I started calling them Honey Bunny. And then it was like, oh, I give myself the same sort of love that I give my cat children. And that has been such a beautiful healing experience. This is not the same as being a mother to a children, but I'm sure it's a similar, like, it's just like, unlike any love you've ever experienced and they bring you so much joy.
Yeah, pets are amazing. Pets are
Pets
amazing.
They are. They're such mindfulness gurus.
They are. They're like, we're going to just enjoy ourselves in this moment. We're going to play. We're going to nap. This is our lives. And they just do it the right way, you know?
They do. They
Yeah.
do. Yeah. I want to hear your answer. What is saving your life right now?
Oh gosh, these conversations, this podcast, this work that I'm doing, being able to meet amazing people that have taken a different perspective of life. And similar to you, like, because the world and our country is in such a stressful state, being able to pour myself into something that's positive, that I can share with others, that I can have that ability to have that little bit of control over something really good that transcends all kinds of boundaries that I cannot influence or control. It has been saving my life.
Yeah, incredible. Yeah, I feel the same way. I'm so honored to have met you and to have gotten to be a part of this incredible conversation. You have such a warmth and a lightness to you that is so radiant. You have a radiance about you that is really infectious. And I'm just so honored
Aw.
that I got to be in your shine today.
Well, thank you, Haley. That means so much coming from you. You're so in tune with things and the universe. And so you saying that to me, you have made my day. I'm going to be walking out of this conversation feeling like the best feeling. So thank you so much. And I cannot wait to continue following your journey. And
Thank you.
I'm sure other people feel the same way. So if they want to follow you and work with you, get to know more about you, what is the best way for them to find you?
Yeah, best way, Instagram at Haley Irene Sings, Haley Irene Sings, or they can shoot me an email, hello@HaleyScruggs.com.
Very
I have
cool.
a website, but I'm not there yet. So we're not promoting that yet.
Eventually. One thing at a time. You've done a
Yeah.
lot. You've done a lot, man. You've done a lot since we talked just a couple weeks ago. I'm impressed.
It's because I did not a lot. And then I was like, oh, hell. And so, yeah, I was sick all last week. And then this past Monday and Tuesday, your girl got it together.
Yes. That's fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I will talk to you soon.
This has been 101 Ways Out. I so appreciate you taking your valuable time and spending it with me. I hope something in this episode made you feel seen, understood, and inspired. If you're looking for support taking the next step in your life, visit 101waysout.com and check out our 30-day program. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast on all of your favorite podcast platforms and follow our social media. Spread the word. I look forward to seeing you next week and continuing to explore what lights you up.